Before I begin, welcome new faces to our synagogue, whether you're here to celebrate Jason and Chelsea, their Ofruf this morning, or guests from Joseph's family, or whether you're just checking us out for the first time, or for whatever reason you're here. We're grateful that you're here. I want to make sure you all feel welcome here, and I want to thank all of those who contribute in different ways to the synagogue, those who make contributions through their volunteer hours, with financial commitments, with joining the synagogue and their membership. We are very, very grateful to you and thank you for your support. Before the Torah tells the story of the golden calf, the Torah commands this special counting of the Jewish people. Actually, a number of times in the Torah, we find a commandment to count the people. What is noteworthy in this instance, right at the beginning of the Parsha, is the language, the words the Torah uses in ordering this count to take place. The words are, Ki Tissa et rosh b'nei Yisrael lifkudehem. When you raise the heads of the Jewish people to assess their numbers, a strange way of saying, count them. The Baal Shem Tov teaches here that the Torah is explaining that counting a Jew is no simple task. It's nothing simple. A person who is counted and considers themselves to be part of the Jewish people has to do so with a raised head. Ki tissa et rosh b'nei Yisrael. That means that a person has to feel that they are special, chosen, that they're set aside for a particular mission in life. They have to feel motivated and determined in their Judaism. The census was not just about assessing a quantity. It was about instilling quality, ensuring that the people's heads were raised in pride. The biblical model, the great biblical model for Jewish pride, by the way, is Queen Esther. This is the month of Adar, the month of Purim, one long month of Purim. So we have to pay tribute to Queen Esther and honor her. If you know the story of Queen Esther, she grew up in a land where she was hated because she was born Jewish, and she had to hide her identity. Her very name, Esther, means the hidden one. And as much as the story of Purim is a story about the salvation of the Jews of Persia, it is also about her heroism, her risking her own life to reveal her identity and save her people. To get to that stage where she felt comfortable lifting her head, being who she was, she had to work through fear and summon faith, and she asked that people fast for her and pray for her. But in the end, she trusted in God, stood for what was right. She did lift her head and announced who she was and that she was Jewish. It was that simple act of Jewish pride that brought the salvation of the people in the story of Purim. It would seem to me that we really could use a boost nowadays of Esther's courage and pride. In today's diaspora, many of us are being put in the same difficult position that Queen Esther and the Jews of Persia were put in all those centuries ago. Many people around us don't like us. It's been clear. Should we reveal our Jewish identity? Should we not? Should we tuck in that Star of David around our necks? Should we wear a baseball cap over the kippah, when I'm out on the street, when I'm taking public transportation, depending on the name of the Uber driver that's about to pick me up. I don't know about you, but maybe because I wear my kippah out, I'm thinking about these questions all the time. Nobody wants to be harassed for being who they are. Nobody wants to be made to feel intimidated for being who they are. We're even afraid of violence. One study suggests that right now, 1 in 3 Jews is hiding their Jewish identity regularly. Another suggests 1 in 2. I actually think the number is much, much higher than that. It just depends on circumstance. Look at what the streets of Mississauga look like when an anti-Israel protest is taking place. Is there anyone in this room who would be seen visibly, publicly, centrally on that street as an identifiable Jew? So quite often these days, we're carrying our heads not high, but rather low, trying to be as inconspicuous as possible. While much of our attention gets focused on anti-Semitic incidents, I don't think we pay enough attention to the impact anti-Semitism has on the Jewish community. It's a different subject, and the impact anti-Semitism is having particularly on young people. The danger of being young in today's Canada and absorbing this idea that being a Jew is something you should be ashamed of, something you should hide, something you should keep to yourself as much as possible. Many Jewish organizations have responded admirably to this by increasing seminars and by distributing pamphlets with talking points and debate tactics to arm our kids for battle on behalf of unapologetic Jewish identity and Zionism. But I think it all has to start with Ki Tissa et Rosh B'nai Yisrael, an affirmation of Jewish pride, in the spirit of the census in our Torah reading, in the spirit of Queen Esther. To be proud does not mean to flagrantly display and affirm your Judaism in places and situations where that will likely put you in danger. Sadly, nowadays, as I said, we have to think twice about being public with our Judaism in unfriendly surroundings. But that reality should lead us to intensify our Jewish pride in the ways and places that are relatively safe and comfortable. And there are still many places where it is safe and comfortable to be proud in your Judaism. And we have to find opportunities to express that pride, to intensify it, publicly, privately, and especially in the circles where we have a voice. First, to be proud publicly. Yes, there's spaces where we have to hide our Judaism, but there are lots of others where we don't have to. Every Sunday, since October the 7th, drive by Bathurst and Lawrence. Better yet, park your car, get out of it, and stand with a very proud and diverse group of members of our Jewish community who display a public show of pride that everyone is welcome to participate in. All they're doing is dancing, asking you to honk your horn, and waving Israeli flags. And better yet, what about the synagogue? More than anywhere else, right here in the synagogue, every day, at least twice a day, you have an opportunity to participate in rituals like you saw today that validate and affirm you for who and what you are. It has been really heartwarming to see many cases in recent months of people coming to synagogue who haven't shown up in a long time, to maybe put on tefillin, to ask for an aliyah to lead services, or just to be here with us. Or maybe attend a class or come to Shabbat services. Chabad Lubavitch, they felt it was an important time to show Jewish pride, and many of you saw that last week they gathered some 3,000 Jewish teens in Times Square in Manhattan for a huge concert with singing and dancing, and of course the Rebbe's picture on the mega screen in the most public place in America. We should be moved by their enthusiasm and try to replicate their fearlessness in large groups and gatherings and rallies whenever and wherever we can. Second, to be proud privately. Okay, so it's not possible to live a full Jewish life all alone, but it doesn't mean that solitude does not have an important place in our tradition. Moses himself, we read it in this Parsha, had an intensely religious experience up there on that mountain all alone. He actually spent 2 retreats above Mount Sinai in solitude, leaving his wife and family behind. His journey into the cloud could be considered as a model for us for future Jewish practice. It may surprise you to know that many mitzvot are ideally performed at home, alone. Real pride is not about showing off or rubbing our Judaism in the faces of others. Real pride comes from deep inside, from the knowledge that you can be your authentic self and live the values that are important to you. Something like opening up a book and learning Torah on your own can be an incredibly transformative daily experience. I know some people who even decided to use this time to improve their Hebrew skills. Try to take on something alone, on your own, that lifts the Jewish part of your neshama, that lifts the Jewish part of your heads, and intensifies the commitments of your hearts. And third, be proud in the circles where you have a voice. As public citizens in a free country, all of us have the opportunity and even the obligation to use our voices to demand justice where we see injustice, to demand love where we see hatred, and build a stronger Canada. Before the winter break, just a couple of months ago, a student at Dublin Heights Elementary School found anti-Semitic graffiti in the school washroom. The graffiti included an X drawn through a sketch of an Israeli flag and a Star of David, the words "Free Palestine," "Get rid of the kikes," and "Hitler was right," plus a sketch of a Palestinian flag and a sloppily drawn swastika. There was also the hashtag "Kill the Jews." The administration of the school informed the police, but failed to address the issue publicly with the student body or with the Jewish students of that school in particular, as many Jewish students at Dublin Heights, or even let the parent body know about what happened. Instead of staying silent, a member of our community named Carly Cohen, a concerned Jewish parent, decided she wasn't going to stand by. She got the press involved. And she screamed at the TDSB school board, explaining that it is unacceptable that parents be left in the dark about hate incidents that happen in the school that target children of any particular community, race, or religion. Only because of her voice is the TDSB thinking of changing their policy. I also want to mention a law firm, Diamond and Diamond, who you know from their commercials. Here they decided to take a different tact and not go finding an ambulance, but to sue 6 different, I apologize to personal injury lawyers here, but what they're doing is incredible. They are suing 6 Canadian universities for failing to protect their Jewish students from anti-Semitism and discrimination. Their case outlines how these schools go out of their way to protect the civil rights of every other minority except Jews. And I certainly look forward to seeing the successful fruits of that effort. It is not easy to stay seated at the table and engaged when we feel under attack, but we have to stay in it. And it's not easy to raise our voices as Jewish parents and risk being labeled and singled out and stereotyped. But if we don't complain and make a fuss and launch lawsuits, nothing happens. We're going to be accused of abusing our disproportionate power and influence. That is how Jews have been slandered for centuries. Pay it no heed. Stay in the conversation. Fight for justice and fairness. Stand up for yourself and stand up for others. Ki tissa et rosh b'nei Yisrael lifkudehem. The bottom line is that having a raised head is the way we show that we count. Yes, it's because of who your mother is or whether you converted to Judaism. Jewish pride is rooted in your history and our history, but that is just the beginning. It doesn't end there. If we're only our past, what are we now? Be proud. Be proud to be a Jew. Be proud to be a descendant of Abraham, of Moses, of Queen Esther. Be proud of yourselves. Lift up your heads. Don't just be proud because of who you are, but because of what you stand for. I am a Jew. Say it with me. I am a Jew. I don't spite history. I learn from history. I'm called to build the world and make it a better place. That's what my ancestors did before me. They took note of the ways of the world, just like I am, of how people treat each other and how I have been treated, and I take it to heart. I'm a Jew because I call upon God and I allow God to call upon me, and I don't let the past fossilize into the annals of history, but I am actively pursuing the past into the future. Judaism is a living, breathing thing. It is each and every one of us, as alive as we are today. It does not lie stagnant, and neither can we. Where there is wrong, we will fight it, not to destroy it, but to right it. As a Jew, we move forward. We work to build a better world for everyone, a world that comes closer to God and God's vision for justice. Yes, I am proud because I am a Jew, but I count as a Jew because I am proud, like I hope we all are. Shabbat Shalom.